Welcome back to the channel, guys. This one is a super exciting episode this week, and let me explain why. So, early on in Sharkbait's build video series, we did the Thrashin supply high bend bars. I think they're high bend. High bend, yeah, they look high bend. High bend bars with the 6.5 inch OG risers. Well, now, today, what we are going to be doing is finishing up the handlebars. And what I mean by that, as the thumbnail suggests, is we are going to be relocating the gauges. Really exciting. I'm super stoked. I wasn't originally planning on doing this part of the build this early in the year, but I said, screw it. Might as well get it done before the riding season this year really kicks off. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, you will see the plethora of parts necessary to properly relocate your gauges. Now, the idea behind this modification is to get rid of all of this plastic. It also brings your gauges up closer to your face so you can actually see them a little bit better. All of the wiring is going to be neatly tucked and pulled into the fairing, and I'm pretty excited. So first steps first, what we have to do is we have to protect the gas tank, because we are going to be disassembling this entire thing. Because in order for me to mount the existing risers to the new top tree, I need to have the risers completely off the bike so I can actually access it properly. So let's do that. Now, I do not have one of those fancy doohickuses that covers the tank while you're working on it, but what I do have are these super fashionable beach towels. So that's what we're going to be using today. Now that we got that done, now we're going to move to our top clamp. Okay, these are just going to get kind of laid down out of the way. Hey, real quick. Don't listen to me, I'm a moron. Before you take the top clamp off the handlebars, take your controls, well, at least your clutch and your front brake off first. Then you can remove the handlebars completely, makes everything a lot easier. So let's do that. Also, make sure you remove your cell phone mount if it's like overlapping your perch mount, or your perch clamp. Handlebars are free. So, now that you got your controls off of the bars and the top clamp safely stored somewhere else, you can actually, at this point, with everything unplugged, undo your top tree. So let's do that. I know this looks really messy, and that's because it is, but again, I'm only one person. I'm just trying to do the best I can with what I got. All right, guys, now that we got the old stuff off, we can start to disassemble it and put the new stuff on. Pretty cool. Stand by. So here is the stock top tree with the Road Glide adapter on it. So all we gotta do is undo these, and then we're going to undo the risers from the adapter as well. Whoop whoop. This you can get rid of, because if you guys remember, oh yeah, I should probably preempt. Before you do anything like this, make sure you CVO flash it so you don't need your ignition switch. Okay guys, we're almost ready to start throwing new parts at this thing. The fun part. We got the risers off. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to loosely fit these risers to the top tree, to the workbench. On the Thrashin Supply top tree, you're given a couple of different options. If you want the handlebars closer to you, you would mount them here. So that means this is going to be towards you. You should be able to read the logo as it sits. So if you want it closer, you put the spacer in that way. If you want it further away from you, you put it in like this. I am short with little T-Rex arms. I'm 5'9", so mine are going to be like this. What I ended up having to do is, with these extensions that I purchased, they gave me these super long bolts that are actually too long for the 6.5-inch pullback risers. So what I ended up doing is I kind of MacGyvered the retaining clips out of the actual adapter plate for the Road Glide, and I used the bolts that were in this. Save yourself a trip to the hardware store. So when you're at this stage of assembling your risers and your top tree, you want to make sure that you install this, because that is going to keep those square. Does that make sense? This ARP hardware is nice, eh? Okay, that is going to ensure that these don't twist on you and get wonky, because these bolts need to get Loctited. Blue, of course, don't use the red stuff. Unless you know, hate yourself. See? These were in there. These are the perfect length ones to use if you have 6.5-inch pullback with a 1-inch extension. Dad tight. Okay guys, there you have it. That is the risers with the 1-inch extensions on our new Thrashin Supply top tree. Super exciting. And some of you guys might be asking, why did I do the 1-inch extensions? Well, fun fact. When you pull the adapter plate off of your tree, your existing tree, the stock one, and you go to the Thrashin Supply top tree, you actually lose about 1 inch of height because of that adapter. And I really liked the height of my handlebars, so I wanted to keep that. So Thrashin Supply was thoughtful enough to offer a 1-inch extension for people doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Ooh, those are nice. Okay, so let's get it on the bike. There we go. I actually put the microphone on. Look at me, figuring it out. Real quick, before you install your tree, remove the pinch bolts, all 3 of them, and put a dab of blue Loctite. Oh no. Obviously don't tighten these yet. All right, this one is a 5/16. These are 1/4 inch. Okay, now that those are started, we can go over and put it on the bike. Obviously, make sure that none of your cables are in the way. Oof, don't hit your fairing like I just did. So once you get it in there nice and level, 1/4 inch. And these guys are only 20 foot-pounds. It's not a lot, guys. I'm gonna start one. Now I'm gonna start this one. And this one is 25 foot-pounds. And these are 20. She's on. Now what we can go ahead and do is take our top clamp off, put our bar back on, put the top clamp back on, and button everything up. Maybe even a little bit more than that. Right there. When tightening these up, go in an X pattern. I would say star pattern, but there's only 4 of them. for right now, what we need to do is plug everything in and make sure we got it right. I just had a minor panic attack in the garage here. I had everything plugged in and bike wouldn't start. I went to hit the ignition, the bike wouldn't turn over. Now, mind you, I don't have the gauges on yet, but they are the next step. But I got everything plugged in, I got everything situated, I hit the ignition, nothing. So I panicked a little bit. I started unplugging everything. I'm panicking. I'm thinking I pinched a wire. I did something. Texted Uncle Rob and he was like, check main fuse, pull it, put it back in, do all that jazz. But as he's texting me, I'm plugging everything back in for like the third time. Hit the ignition. Oh, thank goodness. It even starts. That's a load off the shoulders. I was going to have to tow the bike in and I really didn't want to do that. So I'm really glad it worked out. So we got everything plugged in. Like I said, I am going to show you guys the gauges, right? We got our gauges pulled out. So before you do anything with the gauges, you really want to make sure that they're really super clean. Okay, so take a microfiber, maybe even a little glass cleaner, something that's not really harsh, and you really want to clean this off because these things get a lot of dust. And we're going to be installing a new gasket from Thrashin Supply. On screen it looks like a sticker, but it's not. It's actually a thick rubber membrane. And what you want to do is you want to use this flat edge on flat edge and use that as a guide to stick it. So I'm going to move the camera and do this because it's going to take all of my concentration, and then I'll show you. Okay, one down. Just like that. I really hope it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. This gets set into here. And the carbon fiber backing. Everything just kind of clicks together. Thrashin Supply gives you hardware. Each screw, there's only 3 of them, gets a little bit of blue Loctite. Have you guys ever heard of a YouTube group called Lane Split Boulevard? These guys are awesome. A bunch of dudes out of LA who build choppers. They harp on Loctite really like a lot for good reason. And sometimes when one of their compadres, one of their bikes breaks down because of a screw fell out or something, they always go, not enough Loctite. And then sometimes they'll go, bobber breakdown, because they're all, you know, they're all on bobbers. Voila, gauges. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to attach this mount to the bike itself. All right, guys. So it is, as you can see, the next morning. Let me show you where we're at. I got the new gauges mounted up and on, and the tree is good. Got a little cleaning to do. Bike's a little dirty. And there's the new loom. So Thrashin Supply actually provides you with a very nice wiring harness loom, if you will, right here. So I got the entire bundle coming from the bars going into the fairing done up right there. I wasn't able to film all the things I did to get this to be proper and properly installed. And there's a couple reasons for that. For one, it was getting real late. I was getting real tired. I had to do all sorts of little things to get this to fit properly. The one thing about all of this that you guys didn't really get to see was me pulling the fairing off and pulling this wiring through there into the fairing, and then I buttoned it up inside and then remounted the headlight. I've already taken the fairing off on this bike on this channel a few times, and no one really wants to just sit there and stare at me fiddling with wires trying to get them all nice and perfect. So I decided not to film that. But yeah, here we have it. Thrashin Supply gauge relocation and new top tree. A couple of you guys might be wondering, well, why did you do it in 2 steps? That's kind of like doing it the hard way. And I agree with you. It is doing it the hard way. At the time when I bought the risers and T-bars initially, that already, I mean, these risers were $400. I can't remember. I did a cost breakdown in a Harley modifications video. I don't remember off the top of my head what it costs, but I can tell you the gauge relocation kit alone. So with the tree, with this, with the bracket, was $1,300 on top of the risers, the bars, and all that jazz. I mean, you're looking at $2,100, $2,200, something like that, maybe even a little bit more to do the whole thing. And that was a little bit over what I wanted to spend all in one go. So I decided to do it like this, where I could get the T-bars on the bike right off the bat. Another thing I wanted to talk about in this video was that if you look at it like this, it looks like those gauges are right in front of the infotainment center. But let me show you the perspective that I see while on the bike. That is my perspective. I can see the infotainment center perfectly, and you see all your gauges perfectly. Why do people buy this part or set of parts for their Harley-Davidsons? And there's a couple of reasons. These gauges used to be all the way down here. And albeit you could see what you needed to see on the gauges just fine, it was not a very clean look. That is how you have to cut your gauge bezel in order to fit those risers through it. And I have the 6.5-inch riser, so by the time the risers come out of there, you can't even really see the craftsmanship of them. It looks a whole hell of a lot better. I think you guys would agree, maybe, I don't know, but maybe you guys would agree that that is a much cleaner look than the way it looked before. If you guys remember, when I initially installed the T-bars, where is it? Here it is. You had to have this Thrashin Supply adapter plate, right? And it came with these little guys. Now, the more moving parts, and I had a conversation on Facebook with a dude about this. Let me explain what he was experiencing, let me explain why. So it is your #1 way of interacting with the motorcycle. And if your #1 way of interacting with the motorcycle has a lot of moving parts, okay? A lot of connection points. You had this, ooh, that was loud, I'm sorry. You had this, you had these, you had the bolts through there, you had the bolts through there. So basically, the handlebars were set basically where they are now, but this is all one piece. Whereas before, it was on the stock tree, it was through this, then bolted to that, and then bolted down. So there was actually movement. There's a little bit of movement and flex in those handlebars. I don't have to explain why flex in handlebars isn't desired when you're hauling ass in the corners and you're leaning the bike and you're splitting traffic or whatever it is. If you ride more aggressively, you don't want any flex in your handlebars. You want that as solid as you can, so that way the responsiveness of the bike is reacting to how you're steering immediately, which is why people tend to lean towards T-bars over ape hangers, because on the Electroglide and every subsequent, well, not everyone, I had T-bars on the Softail, but every previous motorcycle to that, I've had ape hangers. I've had ape hangers since I was 18 on my first Harley and going on up. And ape hangers are just obviously that. Just a big long bar and then your hands are up here. Just the smallest amount of movement up here is actually flexing that handlebar a lot. And that doesn't equate to responsiveness on the motorcycle itself. It doesn't mean if I'm pushing a lot here, the bike's actually gonna do what I want it to do. So people prefer T-bars because they're solid mounted and there's less flex. You would have to have ridden both to understand really what I'm talking about. T-bars, they're amazing. Love them, especially with how I ride. I love them, but also a guilty pleasure. They look fantastic. So anyways, today is going to be a beautiful day. So before we end this video, I'm actually going to take Sharkbait here out, give you guys my first impressions of the Gage Relocation Kit. So stick around. All right, guys. And as per usual, just so you guys are aware, anytime you unplug your handlebars and plug them back in, you are going to get an engine code. Happened to me when I did the bars themselves, and of course because I unplugged everything and plugged it back in, it's gonna happen again. So nothing to freak out about. Most of the time that will clear itself out after you ride a few miles. Something to keep in mind, if you guys are planning on doing this modification, these T-bars and Gage Relocation and all the things, keep in mind that I am 5'9". Depending on your handlebar itself and exactly where you want your arms to be, feel free to do the 9.5 inch. Even with these high bend bars, I am pretty sure I would have been just fine on cable length and wire length and all that. And as you guys may know, the lower your handlebars, the more you have to lean forward to grab them. On the angle of these bars, the higher you go, the actual closer it is to your body because it's pointing at you. So the longer you go this way, the more you can sit upright. Now, with these 1-inch extensions that I have on these risers, it's basically putting it at a 7.5 inch pullback riser, and I believe these high bend bars are like 4.5 inches. Man, I love having the gauges right there. That is so convenient. So yeah, if you guys are wanting to dip your toe, or if you guys are wanting to do handlebars but are afraid that the cost is going to quickly overwhelm you and then you're going to have to wait for cable extensions, don't stress it. Get the 9.5 inchers. with seeing how this setup is on my bike, if I could do it all over again, I would have went with the 9.5-inch OG pullbacks rather than the 6s. Now, if I would have done that, I might have had to have adjusted this this gauge cluster a little bit more, because now we're talking up higher. It might actually obscure the infotainment center, but with 6.5-inch on a high bend, it doesn't obscure it at all. Loving every minute of it. I got my turn signals, those still work, everyone's happy. Beautiful April day. So, little life update. My wonderful, wonderful wife is in Boston, Massachusetts for the next 2 weeks. She's doing paramedic boot camp. She's been an EMT for going on 6 years now, but she decided to better herself and go to school, paramedic school. It's like a 1.5 years long, basically, of working full-time, and on top of that, doing schoolwork and bookwork and tests and exams and certifications. And as you come to the culmination of it, you have to go to Boston, Massachusetts for 2 weeks. They call it paramedic boot camp, basically. I couldn't do that job. I have so much respect for those who do it. So the fact that she can do it with a straight face and she just loves it. She loves that job. I'm just super excited for her to go through this and learn a higher scope of care for patients. She'll be able to do so much more as a paramedic than you can as an EMT. It's been a long time since I've had to spend any real time without her. I've had to go to training for work, a week here, a week there, but this is 2 weeks straight, and you know, I'm a little down about it because, well, you know, I like her. She's pretty cool. But she's at a thrift store today in Boston. My wife loves thrifting. She loves to go to thrift stores and find little treasures, as she calls it, and she's having a good time. I don't know the etiquette on leaving stickers on people's motorcycles. Like, not sticking them to them, obviously. I would never do that. But, like, leaving the Blacktop Diary stickers, like these bad boys. Because I don't want to touch someone's motorcycle, you know, without their permission, obviously. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Yeah, see? Check engine light went out. Perfect. Everyone's happy. Just takes a couple of startups for the bike to realize, okay, nothing's wrong, just making sure. So, to wrap up the Thrashin Supply gauge relocation video, I was a bit nervous about messing with the trees. It's something that I've never done before. I've talked about it with a couple of dudes on like the Facebook groups that I'm a part of. It didn't seem that big of a deal, which is why I didn't, hot dogs.
They talk, squirrel!
Which is why I didn't like have to have Uncle Rob with me or my brother in order to do it, because I don't like to mess things up, or, you know, like, again, I've said it a million times on this channel, I really, really like my motorcycle, and I really want to take care of it. I want to do the best job I can when I'm doing stuff like this. But I watched Thrashin Supply's video of them doing this exact job, and watching Juan and Lance do it, I was like, oh, okay, it seems really simple. Just a couple of pinch bolts, not that big of a deal. And so I was really nervous going into it, but I was confident that I'd be able to figure it out. I will say this though, on the first impressions aspect of this gauge inside of the carbon fiber backing, the housing that it goes into, getting that to line up and to be able to, in Thrashin's video, when Juan does it, he basically like clicks it in. And I was so afraid of cracking or messing up the carbon fiber that I was trying to be really finessey with it. And it's still not perfect. Like, you can tell when you look at it real close that it's not exactly perfect with the backing going into the recess of this. And I don't know if that's a fit and finish issue. It is coming from Thrashin, so I highly doubt that. But it's most likely just user error, and I just wasn't doing it right. But now that everything is Loctited in and all the bolts are snug, the check engine light is gone, everything seems to be working great. I am over the moon with it. I absolutely love how it turned out. I will say that the torque specs made me real nervous. 20 on the forks, 20 foot-pounds on the fork pinch bolts, and 25 on this main one up here. That just doesn't seem like a lot, you know? Especially on something as critical as the upper tree on the forks of a motorcycle. But I mean, everything seems fine. You know what I mean? But it is funny now that this entire front of the bike is completely cleaned up and looks really nice. I can tell where I miss every time I wash it. So now I'm gonna probably spend a couple hours in the garage detailing the bike, but don't worry, you won't have to suffer through that. But anyways, I really appreciate you guys stopping by, checking out this video, this quick install and first impressions video. If you guys could, it would be really cool if you could like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, it'd be a lot cooler if you were. Keep the shiny side up, the rubber side down. I'll see you guys when I see you.